Chapter 11 Caves. Sacks used to be protected. Why do you think the government is allowing camo to squeeze us? Zara asked. I think the government is using camo to squeeze us, Max said. Now that the transition has been over for 10 years, the next thing they fear is people rising up and demanding the rights and ways of life they had before. The most likely place this would come from is the sacks. I think we've gone from being a relief valve on social services to a threat. Jackson had a theory, Jude said. He thought it was more than that. Now that the transition is over and things are stable, Adams has figured out that it is dangerous to have 80% of people out of work and not contributing to an economy that just doesn't need that many people when AI does most of the work. He thought that Adams and New America might be trying to reduce the population. And now he's dead. I don't know if he wrote that anywhere, but if he did, I'm sure Adams would have connected the dots once he was identified. It would have put him on top of the threat pile, Max said. Your help to the Sacks and your platform with the Sparrow Press have put you three in an important position. The Sacks need to know what is going on. I never wanted this, Jude said with a sigh. We set out to find our brother, not start some kind of a movement. Maybe not, Jude, Max said, putting his hand on Jude's shoulder. But how many more brothers will disappear if we don't come together and stand up for our lives? Here are some insights. This excerpt I read comes after a scene where Jude, Zara, and Maisy travel to Kansas City. They are looking for somebody that the character of Jackson has told them to meet. And that's a whole adventure. I'll let you read that. But they're trying to meet a guy named Max. Max is going to be an important ally in the future. Max is an attorney who has organized a SAC outside of Kansas City, and he has kind of a unique headquarters. He's an attorney. He's not a farmer. He's leading the community, but he has offices that are actually underground, and they're kind of hidden in a bunker type area. And this underground bunker is going to be important, coming up in the story. It is an actual place in Kansas City, outside of Kansas City. They're fairly well known. There's some underground warehouses that were limestone mines that were converted to warehouse space, and I've been inside them before. They're a great setting for a dystopian novel. I had to put them in here, but they are a real place. If you want to see what they look like, just Google Subtropolis in Kansas City, and it'll show you all kinds of pictures of that. But one thing that we do come up against here now is this, there's this tension between the Sacks and camo, always wanting to, farm land close to the Sacks and try to squeeze the Sacks and take some of their land. But what they're realizing is not just a fight over farmland. That's not really the problem. What it is, it's not even really camo. What they're realizing is it's the government that is not happy about the Sacks being successful. And on an even bigger level, if you think about it, we're talking about a dystopian society. New America is a country where AI is doing so much of the work that there's not really room for people in the economy. And so just as a matter of survival, they're living on universal basic income and they're getting housing assistance and they're subsisting, but they're not really producing anything. And of course, that costs a lot of money. And so now we have a situation where the government is trying to save money, and the best way to save money is to not pay as many benefits, and the best way to not pay as many benefits is to shrink the population. And outside of genocide or something, some kind of a Holocaust, if you're not killing people, the best way to shrink a population is attrition. Just make sure there's not as many people being born as there are dying, so that you can reduce the number. And what they're realizing is all of this conflict with camo and this conflict they're coming up with the Sacks is they're realizing the government is actually actively trying to reduce the population, or they suspect that. And so that's something to keep an eye on, because that's a bigger problem than just camo wanting more farmland. It's a bigger agenda. And the success of the Sacks and the help that the Sparrows are giving the Sacks runs directly against that goal. And so we're setting up for a much bigger conflict than just fighting over farmland. So stay tuned for chapter 12.